Hey guys, I'm Dr. Jesse Riley. I'm the main clinic owner and therapist here at Modern Movement Clinic in the Denver Golden area. Today we are going to cover what the heck these three things are and why they're essential in your workplace. Let's get going on. So before we get going on what to do with these things in your office place, let's talk about what they are and what they aren't. Because I feel like there's a lot of sales tactics out here that cover, especially like lacrosse balls, foam rollers, vibration guns, all these soft tissue type tools have a lot of sales tactics that claim a lot of things and they aren't necessarily doing anything near that. Take for example a foam roller. A lot of people talk about realigning your spine and stuff like that. This is not doing that. Quite frankly, I'm not doing that. There's a lot of research that shows that a person's spine alignment is typically just related to their posture or how their structure is just naturally. Most of what this is going to do is it just feels good, right? You may get some pops, you may get some cracks, but in the end, we're not realigning the spine by doing that. It's simply just mitigating some of the pain that comes with the area. Same thing goes with this lacrosse ball. A lot of times they talk about changing up scar tissue or rolling out knots or things of that sort. It's not doing that, guys. Most of all this is doing is, again, we're just mitigating pain signals that are being sent to the area. Same thing here. It's going to provide a little bit of blood flow. What we know through research is that most of the time when nerves are irritated, they're either going to be irritated because we're overloading them or underloading them. And so in the sense of, if you're sitting in an office chair for a long period of time, you're not necessarily moving a whole lot, right? So in the grand scheme of things, movement is going to be your biggest medicine here, but this is why these are essential to your office, because they're going to help provide a little bit of blood flow and then therefore calm down some of the nerves that are causing a lot of this pain that you might be experiencing with work or sitting in a particular posture for a long period of time. Again, the last thing I want to cover is the posture is not necessarily the enemy here. Posture is not the new smoking, all of the crazy ass claims that come out with this. Most of the time it's just we're sitting in one particular position for a long period of time and our body doesn't necessarily like that. It likes to be moving so that blood flow can be circulating throughout the whole body. And that's why you're going to experience a lot, sometimes pain while you're sitting for a long period of time. Your body's trying to say, hey, I need you to get up and go do something. So that's why these are essential for the office. I may lose a lot of sponsorships. I may not even get any requests for sponsorships over what I just said about these, but that's why I'm putting my neck out on the line for you guys, because I want you to know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So let's get going on some of this. All right, so one of the areas you guys may be having or experiencing pain with while you're at the office is sometimes in the neck area, right? So this is where the lacrosse ball is going to come into play. Again, all it's going to be doing is just adding a little bit of blood flow to the area. Nerves tend to like that. That's how they get fed, so they tend to calm down. It's just like when we're all hangry. So, easiest way to do this, you're going to take the ball, find a wall or a door, maybe your buddy that's in the next office over. It doesn't really matter. You're just going to take the ball, and it's the easiest thing possible. You're just going to pin it against kind of right where your trap is, kind of along your neckline. I'm going to pin that up against the wall, and I'm going to cradle my arm like so, and you'll see this in the side video here. I'm just going to roll side to side like so. And I may roll over some areas that I feel like are knots. Basically, knots, guys, are your nervous system just tensing up that area because it's trying to protect that area. It's not like a lot of the other stuff that you may have read in the past here. Okay? And so this actually feels amazing to me. I always say that you want to gauge your pressure according to how you feel with this. I always say if you're like making a funny face or holding your breath, you're probably pressing too hard. Just lighten that up a little bit. It's going to just be gauged on how hard you're pressing up against the door. Okay? You can do that area here. I can do along my neckline. This takes a little bit more finesse. So I'm actually going to lean against the door. I'm kind of stepping away from the door and leaning back. And now I can go up and down along my neck here. This one's a little harder to do, I'll be honest, because I've given this to a ton of people And I always seem to feel like people struggle with this one more so than the other, okay? Another area you can kind of hit, so we've done here, we've done here. Now I'm gonna do in between my shoulder blade and my spine. I'm just gonna take that ball, put it right in between here. And then I'm gonna take my arm and I'm gonna pull it across my body. I'm gonna go up and down into that area too. Okay? So you can kind of see here where we're providing blood flow to an area, right? I would say no more than like a couple minutes on each spot, and you can get right back to what you're doing as far as work goes. Let's show you how to do low back now with that. All right, so another area you guys can use this lacrosse ball on is in the hip and the low back. It's really not much different than what I showed you up here as far as the neck and the trap go. That's why the concept is so easy, and you guys can literally do this anywhere. It just makes it so impossible for you to not pay attention and do your due diligence of working in your tissues, because it's just so easy to do. So I'm just gonna take that, I'm gonna find my spine, I'm gonna go on either side of my spine along the muscles on each side, okay? So I'm just gonna pin that in between the door of the wall again, and I'm going up and down. So this would obviously be if you guys have low back pain, or I'm gonna show you how to get into the hip as well. Again, a couple minutes, doesn't need to be anything too crazy here. And then as far as the hip goes, I always say, here's my pocket. Right outside my pocket is my hip bone. And then I'm gonna go to the outside part of that and work right into my butt cheek, okay? So I'm gonna either go onto my side. I'm just gonna show you standing facing away from the wall of the door first. And so I can get the kind of majority of my butt cheek area. And I can go up and down side to side here. Or if I wanted to, again, here's the pokey bone in my hip. I'm gonna go to the side. I'm just gonna work that kind of more glute med area if we're getting specific on tissues here, okay? Pretty easy to do. I'm gonna show you an advanced version on the side view here. You can see how I do on the floor as well. It's gonna be a little bit more intense, but we'll look at that next. So one alternate way you guys can do the lacrosse ball into the hip is you can do it on the ground. It's gonna be a lot more pressure, it's gonna be a lot more tender, but sometimes people can work their way up to something like this, so this might be a little bit more of like a advanced progression, if you will. I'm gonna take the ball, I'm gonna pin it around the same area I was doing against the wall. So this time I'm just gonna sit on the ball, and I can go side to side, I can go up and down. I can also take that leg and cross it over to kind of build a little bit more tension into that hip as well, okay? Same amount of time, it's same kind of mechanics or function of what it's doing. We're just providing a little bit more blood flow to the hip area. Kind of helps relax some of the nerves around that area, okay? Okay, so when you get a band pack, usually that comes with like 3, maybe 5 bands. They're all gonna have different base tension based on like poundage. I always say, you know, hey, it's your own preference as far as where you need to start. You're probably gonna start off on the easier one would be my suggestion, just based on what type of movement, just to kind of get a gauge for where you need to be tension-wise, okay? So one of the easiest ones you guys can do, this is gonna kind of help load the shoulders a little bit more as far as like if we're dealing with neck pain, is I'm just gonna take the band, I'm gonna put it in around my wrists like so. I can use the wall here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to keep my elbows about shoulder width and my wrists in line about 90 degrees, and I'm gonna go up and down on the wall or the doorway while I have tension here, okay? Now the goal in mind is kind of focus some of that tension based into your shoulders. So I want you to think pulling your shoulders back as you do this, okay? You're gonna have a natural tendency to wanna do this, close them in, and you're gonna have a natural tendency to wanna bend your elbow and then also tilt your wrists inward. So that's why I'd say, hey, 90 degrees, shoulders pulled back. Always start with a lighter band if you're noticing some of that stuff. So I'm here, and what I'm going to do, I can slide up and down, and I can go as high as I want or as low down as I need to, whatever you feel like gives you a pretty good pump, quote unquote, as far as the shoulders go. Another thing I can do is I can be here, and I'm just gonna go and try to turn my wrists outward, okay? So I do that here against the wall. Okay, like I said, this is a really good way to help build tension or provide blood flow to kind of the shoulder and mid-back area to kind of help with neck pain stuff, okay? You'll see on the side video, if you haven't already by now, that you can do this on your desk as well. One other quick and easy thing you guys can do with your bands is we can actually put this around our knees and then use a door, either the knob or the door frame itself, to get some squats in, okay? This is gonna help more for like the low back area to provide a little bit more tension, aka blood flow, to the hips, okay? So I'm just gonna take the band, and I'm gonna put that around my knees, like so. Then I'm gonna take the door, I'm gonna bring it out, and kind of the goal in mind here is I'm gonna get about feet shoulder width apart, maybe slightly turned out. You'll be able to see this in another video next to me, where I'm going to push my knees against the band, sit down, and come right back up, okay? For these are more like rep dependent, meaning that maybe 10 really works you really hard, maybe 20 does, maybe 30 or more. It's gonna be one of those situations that it's more like dosage dependent upon the person and less about the standard 3x10 or whatever that you might do at the gym, okay? You can always build up your tension with more resistance with the band, or you can work on different styles of squatting, meaning I can go out a little wider, turn my feet out a little wider, and sit down. There's all kinds of different variations you guys can do with this. The name of the game is it's just providing blood flow and adding a little action to the surrounding area close to the low back, okay? All right, one of the last few things that we can go over here is foam roller, okay? I kind of suggest getting one that's like around like 2 feet or so. Reason being is this is gonna allow you to do the second thing that I'm gonna show you. The foam roller in itself, all we're doing is we're just gonna roll out our mid back a little bit. I don't necessarily like people getting into the low back just because of how it's the curve is. It can sometimes be a little bit more harmful than helpful. So that's why I say stick between like here and here as far as the foam roller goes. I'm gonna lay that part of my body onto the foam roll. I'm gonna take my hands and put them behind my head. And now all I'm doing is I'm just using my feet to kind of roll me from here to here. Okay? And I may focus on doing like, again, 1 to 3 minutes. It doesn't need to be anything too crazy here, but I am trying to relax my head and my hands and just letting the foam roller do its thing, okay? At first you may feel really tense with this. A lot of the reason being is maybe we sit at the computer for a long period of time and we kind of catch ourselves doing this, right? In essence, what this is trying to do is get us going the opposite way, okay? So it kind of helps at first. Again, it may feel tight or stiff. As you kind of get more invested into it, it will start to relax and you'll notice a little bit of a difference in terms of that stiffness, tension feeling, okay? The last thing with this is I'm actually gonna just lay this vertically. I'm gonna go hip on, or butt on it, head on it. And this to me is just like a recovery position. Meaning if I've sat a long day at the desk like this and I'm really feeling this in my neck and my low back, I sometimes tend to go to this position because it's putting me in the opposite position, right? If I'm hunched over and then I sit like this, that's gonna put me into what's called extension. And I can lay here, honestly, as long as you want to. It kind of just depends on what feels good to you. I think this mixed with just moving around can sometimes offset a lot of the pain that you might be experiencing when you sit for a long period of time. Okay, so hope these are helpful. Give them a shot. If you like the video, please hit the heart button and subscribe. Would love the follows. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you soon.